All right, today we're jumping into one of the most intense confrontations in all of Scripture, Exodus chapter 7. And look, this is so much more than just a political meeting. We're talking about a massive clash of wills, a showdown between two men and a ruler who genuinely believes he is a god. So let's break down how this whole incredible power play gets started. And really, this is the central question, isn't it? I mean, just think about the challenge here. You're not walking in to ask for, a simple policy change. No, you're about to challenge a king who is literally worshipped as a divine being. So how do you even start a conversation like that? Where do you begin?
Well, their mission comes from the absolute highest authority. God himself tasks these two brothers, Moses and Aaron, with what seems like a totally impossible job. And there's this fascinating detail in the language here. To go up against a man who thinks he's a god, God basically says to Moses, "I have made thee a god to Pharaoh." It's like he's elevating Moses' status just for this specific interaction.
And the objective? Man, it could not be more clear. This isn't a negotiation, it's not a request, it is a direct command, delivered through Moses and his brother Aaron. The goal is simple, it's singular, and it's absolute. Let the people go. Now, here's a detail that I think a lot of people just gloss over, but it's so important. Their age. Moses is 80 years old, and his brother Aaron is 83. Think about that. These aren't some young, fiery revolutionaries. They're elders, and they're about to take on the most dangerous mission of their entire lives. That just adds a whole other layer of weight to what they're doing. Okay, so with their divine missions set, these two elderly brothers walk right into the heart of Egyptian power, the royal court. This is it. This is the setting for the first big test. You have to imagine this world of incredible ceremony and absolute, unquestioned authority. And they're about to challenge the entire system with a single, simple sign. So, what's the game plan God gives them? It's actually really simple, but it's also deeply symbolic. The idea is Pharaoh is definitely going to demand some kind of proof of their authority, right? So the response isn't going to be some long speech. Nope, it's a miracle, turning a simple wooden rod into a serpent. That is a potent, undeniable display of power, and it's meant to show a force that is way, way bigger than anything Pharaoh has. And then, the moment of truth. Right there, in front of Pharaoh and the whole royal court, Aaron just throws his staff down on the ground. And it doesn't just clatter to the floor. It starts to writhe, to change. It literally becomes a living serpent right there on the palace floor. The first shot has been fired. But here's the thing. Pharaoh isn't impressed, not one bit. Instead of seeing this as some incredible divine sign, he just sees it as a challenge, a magic trick, one that he's pretty sure his own people can match. So what does he do? He calls for his own wise men, his sorcerers and magicians, to step up and do the same. So now the confrontation really heats up. Pharaoh's magicians, they step forward, and using their own secret arts, they do it. They also turn their rods into serpents. So for a second there, it looks like a stalemate. You've got serpents all over the floor. But then, Aaron's serpent moves, and it devours every single one of the magician's serpents. Boom. The demonstration of whose power is superior is totally unmistakable. But even after seeing that, a completely undeniable sign of greater power, Pharaoh just doubles down. The text says his heart was hardened. He flat out refuses to listen. The very miracle that was supposed to persuade him has somehow only made him more stubborn, more defiant. Okay, so that personal demonstration of power, it didn't work. So now the stakes are about to get raised dramatically. We're moving on from a single serpent in the court to a full-blown national disaster. This is where we get the very first plague to hit the land of Egypt. And there is absolutely no ambiguity about what's coming next. God tells Moses to go meet Pharaoh right at the riverbank and deliver a chillingly direct warning. The whole purpose is stated right there, plain as day. In this, you will know that I am the Lord. This is all about establishing once and for all who is really in charge here. And what you're seeing here is the text from Exodus itself. These are the ancient words that form the very foundation of this entire story, describing exactly what is about to be unleashed on Egypt. So right there at the river's edge, with Pharaoh watching, Aaron does exactly as he was commanded. He lifts his rod and he strikes the water of the Nile. And we have to remember, the Nile wasn't just a river. It was sacred. It was the absolute lifeblood of the entire nation. And just like that, its waters start to turn to blood. The very source of all life in Egypt has just been corrupted. The consequences are immediate, and they are absolutely catastrophic. All the fish in the river die, the river itself starts to stink, and suddenly nobody in Egypt can drink the water. This isn't just symbolic anymore, it's a direct attack on the ecosystem and the actual survival of the Egyptian people. It got so bad, they had to start digging new wells around the river, just desperate for fresh water.
And yet, almost unbelievably, the magicians managed to replicate this feat with their own enchantments, on a smaller scale. And for Pharaoh, that's all the proof he needs. He sees their power as basically equivalent, so he just turns around and walks away. The text says he didn't even take it to heart. His resolve is completely unshaken, even while his entire nation is suffering.
And look, this ordeal wasn't over in a day. It lasted for 7 full days, a whole week. Can you imagine? For an entire week, the main water source for the whole country was completely unusable. Nothing but a stinking river of blood. Just think about the desperation, the panic, the pressure that must have been building. And so that leaves us with a really critical question. The first sign, the serpent, dismissed. The first plague, a national catastrophe, endured. Pharaoh's heart seems harder than it's ever been. So after 7 straight days of a river of blood, what could possibly happen next? What's it going to take to break this impossible stalemate?